In today's episode, which we have titled Construction Dispute Resolution Inside, we will be exploring the construction dispute resolution in this region, drawing from our guest experience and our own experience to highlight key findings and trends in dispute resolution. Our guest for today is Cheryl. Cheryl is a partner at Trowers Hamlins. Welcome, Cheryl. Very happy to have you with us.
Very pleased to be here. Thank you.
Before we start with our discussion, I would like to provide a brief background of Cheryl's impressive career. Cheryl qualified as a solicitor in Scotland in 2004 and has been resident full-time in Middle East with Trowers Hamlins since 2007. Cheryl is managing partner of the firm Dubai office. At the same time, leads the international construction team, working on a regional basis across all the firm's Middle East offices, which include Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, and Oman. Cheryl frequently advises on disputes arising on major construction, engineering, and oil and gas projects, which includes amicable settlement, assistance, mediation, dispute adjudication boards, and arbitration proceedings conducted under various arbitration rules. Cheryl also has further insight into arbitration in the MENA region, generally from being regularly appointed as an arbitrator.
In addition to Cheryl's impressive career, she's also enjoys traveling, trying new cuisine. I know as well from our last conversations that she enjoys camping and being out on the water. And I know that you told me you do a lot of sailing trips with your husband.
Yes, that's right.
Do you have any trip planned or recent trips?
No recent trips. I mean, we're lucky enough we're able to get permission to go kind of into the world islands, so we like taking the boat out there.
Very good, amazing. Again, Cheryl, welcome to the podcast. We are excited to having you here.
Well, before we dive into our main topic for today, I would like to ask you, which is I think a question we ask all our guests, what brought you to this region and how has been experience so far, and maybe you just give us a background why you choose a legal profession.
Yeah, sure. Well, I came out to Dubai in 2007.
Wow.
So it was obviously very different to what it is now. Back in 2007, I was about 2 years qualified as a solicitor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Edinburgh. I'd gone to university there. I'd trained there, and I thought, is this it? Whilst it's very nice, I knew that I wanted to travel and try working abroad. And at the time, it was a very large construction boom in the UAE, and they were, very keen to have construction lawyers come out. So I'd never been to Dubai, so I applied for the job with Trowers Hamlins, and I arrived in July 2007. I think initially for 2 or 3 years, and I've ended up staying. So I'm now in my 18th year in Dubai with Trowers, and still enjoying it.
Wow, amazing. So you have seen all the changes from that time to now. You have seen the most of the construction, big jobs in the area, and how the city was developed across all those years.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, when I arrived, people generally didn't know where Dubai was, and I think people thought I was slightly mad for moving out. So it's not like nowadays where Dubai is very much on the map. People talk about it in the same context as London and New York, but at the time it was very much in growth mode. So it was a great time to move out.
Yeah.
And when I arrived, it literally was a large construction site. So the posts were being put in for the metro.
Yeah.
Burj Khalifa was maybe about a third of the way up. Downtown was under construction. The marina was under construction.
Yes.
So it was just as a young lawyer, it was just a really exciting opportunity to come out and work on these big projects.
Yeah, I think it was the perfect time to move here. Yeah, for sure.
And I think also following this, what got you in construction? Like, why construction law?
I think
Or is that because you moved to Dubai?
No, not at all. So I trained at a firm in Edinburgh, in Scotland. And when I arrived as my first day as a trainee, there were 3 of us at that time, and the other 2 trainees, one got sent to corporates, one got sent to banking, and I got sent to construction. And I was thinking, what is this? We didn't tend then to study. Obviously, we study contract law, but we didn't study construction as a sector or a separate practice area. So I joined the construction team there, and I just loved the team. I loved the variety of the work. It's just very interesting. And then, I ended up qualifying into that team and spent 2 years working there before I decided to move out to Dubai.
Oh, and you really enjoy working in construction, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a great area. Every matter you work on is different. So if you have a dispute about a delay in a project, you're never going to have the same delay events.
Yeah.
It's not, you always have to be engaged. You learn about new things. There will be things that have gone wrong on a project or new construction methods, issues. So I like the fact that you're always having to learn and upskill on every dispute that you work on. It's not transactional. You can't just sort of take the last one you did and apply it. You have to, I think, really engage with the issues on the project because they're all unique. And that's what I really, really enjoy about the job.
Yeah, but also I guess that, for example, disputes maybe are different when you move from oil and gas project maybe to a desalination or maybe to roads. So yeah, things are totally different. So I think you do need to learn a lot.
Yeah, that's right. And lots of large infrastructure projects where you have lots of different packages of work, lots of interfacing between the civils, the engineering, the labor on site. So it keeps it fresh and interesting.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I know that you have also extensive experience with the different dispute resolution strategies. Given your really long experience in the Middle East now, do you think there is popular strategy? And also, do you think there is like a growing trend to avoid litigation or arbitration and maybe adopting more amicable strategy?
I think definitely things are heading towards more of an amicable nature. But to date, my experience has principally been in arbitration.
Yeah.
So very few, I think I've done one mediation in 17 years and one dispute adjudication board, which is, that's slightly unusual. All of the rest of the work has been arbitration, and typically when arbitration proceedings are commenced, the parties have tended to be quite entrenched. So very few of them have settled until relatively recently. So arbitration's been the predominant method that I've seen used. But I think the different way that projects are now being procured. So we're seeing in Saudi, a lot of the big developers are now taking, equity shares or a stake in the main contractor. So I think that will definitely lead at that level to more amicable dispute resolution methods. So things like expert determinations or dispute adjudication boards to sort things out there and then, rather than getting into an arbitration. I also think that lots of companies now have very experienced, good in-house counsel, and they're obviously interests of the business are keen to promote amicable settlement because they'll have experience themselves of arbitration and know the cost and time that involves.
Okay, from my perspective, I've been working in dispute resolution only 8 years, and I just participated in 1 mediation and 2 expert determination. Most of the time was arbitration as well here in litigation. For example, I guess that Nisreen can share her views on adjudication because she worked in UK, which is quite popular.
I think that's what I wanted also to talk about, because as you said, like you work maybe on 2 cases on DAB and mediation. I think also we had recently a seminar about we were on the panel about the different dispute resolution, and do you think DAB and mediation is effective method? And we were saying, like, because maybe it's not enforceable, so that's why parties doesn't like to waste their time and energy, because they know that it might go to arbitration at the end. From my experience working also in the UK before, I think the missing strategy here, it's something like adjudication. Because in the adjudication, you don't need to wait till the end of the project, and like the contractor really can just file for adjudication. Like if the employer did not give them an extension of time or did not reply for their request, maybe 28 days, or when the claim started, they could just file for adjudication. We don't have similar mechanism in the Middle East. And also, I was like speaking with one of our clients when they are main contractor, and they said the main problem they faced, that if they have any disagreement with the subcontractor will immediately file for arbitration, because they don't have any other, enforceable strategy, either arbitration or litigation. What do you think? Do you think we are missing something, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would agree with that, Nisreen. I think there is something missing, as you say, to sort out issues as and when they arise on the project, so that by the end of the project you don't have this huge gulf between the parties, that they're unable to reach an agreement. You also raised the issue with the subcontracts and the supply chain. There isn't a quick method for them to get paid.
100%,
and unfortunately, the only method is either court proceedings or arbitration, which are the only two things that are recognised that you can then go and enforce. And unfortunately, without that statutory backing, a lot of people, and I see it in a lot of contracts, the FIDIC standard forms, they have the wording to include a DAB, but it's in my experience it's usually taken out because parties just see it as an additional tier of cost. Because ultimately, if one party is probably not going to be happy with it and refuse to abide by it, and if it doesn't have teeth to enforce it in this region, then unfortunately it can just be an additional cost. But as you say, the only other alternative is arbitration, which, as we know, is extremely costly. And if you have subcontractors and suppliers where the issue in dispute is non-payment, it compounds the problem, and it's very, very difficult for them to get a resolution.
I agree, because also we involved recently in a project, and the subcontractor, it's almost going to administration, because there is no cash flow, no money, and there is no way to enforce the employer. Especially with lengthy delay, no extension of time, and the employer will start deducting LDs, and we submitted a lot of extension of time claim, but you always be able to find some gaps and say, oh, we need it like this way, we need it this way, and I think that's something we need to improve.
But at the end of the day, the issues with the cash flow, the cash flow with the contractors is one of the main issues, main reason why adjudication started.
Yeah,
it was quite interesting. Also, for me, it's interesting that they are trying to push mediation, but as you say, because it's not enforceable, most of the companies, they don't want to spend time and money on mediation.
Yeah, I mean, I think mediation is a great tool if it's used properly. So I think if the parties, if they have a mediator, if they have properly considered the claims between them, if the person attending the mediation has the actual authority to settle. I think mediation is tricky because quite often at the point we get involved, the employer is being advised by the site team, who are sometimes, very emotionally connected to the issues, and
correct,
understandably so, that have gone on site. So if the site team are informing, the company management, that can also make the position difficult and hard to walk back from the position that's been set out in site. Whereas if you have that management objective level coming in, objective assessments taking place, then you're much more likely to try and get a settlement, which ultimately will be more beneficial for the company. It won't have to spend the time. It can get back to focusing on its key business.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's definitely scope for mediation to be used much more widely, but it requires engagement.
I think, as you said as well, if the parties want to perceive their relationship, so they don't want to arrive to this adversarial end of project arbitration situation, I think mediation is a very good tool. And I think what I noticed, because I've been involved in one also mediation case, but it was in London as well. What I noticed, which is, I don't want to say it when you are next to me, I think sometimes it's the council attitude. When we were doing that mediation, the council were still, their attitude was more like adversarial and defending really the position and thinking, which is, I think, it's part, of course, the way the council thinking. It's like, is that beneficial? Will affect our client contractual position? So they were really cautious to arrive to any at least middle ground, or at least some agreements on issues. So at least if you want to go to arbitration, you already settled some issue and you will just...
Yes.
Yeah.
So that, I think, one of the obstacles I noticed.
And with all these changes, and also, with, as you said before, you mentioned before, the position of the companies in Saudi, how they are investing money in the contractors. How did you see the future of dispute resolution here in the Middle East, in the region?
I mean, I think definitely from my experience, the trend has been, again, particularly where you have very switched on in-house counsel, is for them to, rather than before engaging in, because sometimes you have to go to arbitration. There's no means of settling, but for them to engage in a proper full assessment to inform any settlement negotiations. So what we've seen some clients doing is to appoint a legal firm to conduct a full merits review together with an expert consultancy like FTI, again, to do the delay analysis, to review the quantum, so that when the management of the business is informed, proper authority can be given from the board for any settlement levels, and that the company can then go into the negotiation well aware of its position and its case, so where it's strong, where it's weak, and then come to a negotiated position. And as things, as you mentioned, Nisreen, there are more frameworks. There are more niche suppliers, specialist contractors and suppliers of particular equipment. So it's really important to, I think, maintain those relationships and to try and, to come and properly assess the claim. I think the situation where you'd have the engineer, you'd have an extension of time claim for 1,800 days, and it would come back and say, zero entitlement. I think I would hope that those days are behind us, and that people are properly engaging with the process and carrying out proper analyses, so that the decision makers are properly informed and that settlement can be reached. So I think we will see more of that. I think we'll see more informed negotiated settlements.
Yeah, I've been involved here in the region in a couple, and as you say, exactly the same, the situation that you described. The contractor is claiming for 800 days of EOD, and the engineer just assessing zero. And then they call us just to give like independent review in order to inform their decision, and also to see you have a good case or a weak case. Then after that, just please go talk with the other party just to try to find a solution. Yeah, we see that very common.
Yeah, I can see Natalia smiling immediately when you say this. I think also because also coming from expert background, me and Natalia, and now when being involved in a claim, the problem also is the mentality of the contractor. So we say, do you want to show really your delay and the employer delay?
Exactly.
And the issue is like they said, it's only claim. So
Yeah.
you can claim whatever you like. So I think sometimes I don't want to say the estimation, but the position of the contractor, it's not really realistic, and that's why. And then, as you said, the employer position also not realistic, because if you ask for 800 and you give, so we need to try to find really middle ground, but it's so far it's a little bit hard, I think, in this region.
Yeah, I think that the temptation of many contractors is just to put in absolutely everything. And unfortunately, when they do that, it's very easy for the employer just to say no. That's not that's not properly substantiated. You haven't provided the figures. I don't believe or trust that your claim is genuine or credible. And then when that happens, it cascades through the whole claim, and then it just means that you do get the situation where it is rejected, even though several of the claims might very well be legitimate. So it kind of taints the whole of the contractor's claim. So I do think, there definitely is work to do on the contractor side in terms of submitting properly substantiated, credible claims that are properly backed up with evidence.
Yeah, but also I've seen in other claims that the claims were not so bad and the engineer rejected everything. So yes, there is a mix of both. That could be because there is a situation, and maybe you are in a project for 5 years, and after a couple of years there is a situation, adversarial situation, atmosphere between the parties, that it makes that everything is rejected. Yeah.
And following on Natalia's question about the future of dispute resolution, we've seen more female lawyers and experts stepping in this industry, but we still think, and I think we've seen a lot of challenges especially for experts. Me and Natalia as expert, we noted this as well. What do you think is the solution for these challenges, and if also you saw the challenges yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a challenge that is recognised in terms of representation of female counsel, female arbitrators, female experts in the industry. I think there's a temptation, particularly of counsel, to appoint who you know or who you have experience of.
Yeah.
And I see this on various tribunals. It's the same, very experienced members of the English bar that are appointed as arbitrators. But it stifles other people coming through that are equally well qualified and prepared. I mean, I think it will take time. There is definitely change happening. So I can see, several institutions, like the ICC, the LCIA, are regularly putting forward female arbitrators. So, for example, I've had the situation where both parties nominated a male arbitrator, and the chair was a female. Obviously, very well qualified. It needs to be the best person for the job. But I think there are still changes. People are more, I think, conscious about it.
Yeah.
And particularly, us, when we're recommending experts, or counsel, it's nice to be able to put forward women. But as to how we deal with the problem, I think what we try to do with some clients is do it gender blind. So to put the experience.
Oh, that's good.
So, for example, if we're trying to select counsel, is to put their experience, why we think they're suitable for the case, but leave out the gender. To make it blind, so that there isn't this unconscious bias.
Yeah.
And equally with expert appointments. again, to focus in, because the reason you're appointing someone as the arbitrator or the expert is not because of their gender. It's because they're the right person for that particular appointment because of the issues and the disputes. But I think we've made a lot of progress, but I think there's still work to be done.
Yeah, I think so. There's still work to be done as well. There is a lot of initiatives just to push the role of women expert in arbitration, as well arbitrators. I think that the AC, they are working on that. They are trying to create like a more diverse pool of arbitrators. So yes, from my opinion, I think there's a lot of things to do, but things are changing.
Yeah, and I think, as Natalia said, there is a lot of initiative now to just have more inclusion in the dispute resolution industry. For example, the ERA pledge recently, I think since 2015. Have you really noticed any real change because of that, regardless of the efforts we do to just include both gender?
I think personally I have noticed change. As I said, I think the ERA pledge is great because it brings it to the forefront of people's consciousness. So you might have not thought about it before or not thought it was an issue. But then it's a prompt. It reminds you that actually this is an issue that we can all play a small part in to collectively address. So yeah, I think there has definitely been a change. I mean, I think FTI has a large number of female experts.
Yes.
And when I first came to the region, there were very, very few, if any. So I think it's great as the community really pushes that to the forefront.
Yeah, I think we heard this, which is really good news. We heard it from most of our guests in the podcast, that they have seen the changes, and hopefully there will be more changes. And as you said, there will be just some conscious when you are choosing just to have more variant pool to pick up from, not only. And as you said, of course, they need to be well qualified, which I think it's available now.
Yeah, I think in general, the industry is trying to make to have a more diverse pool of not only experts, lawyers, barristers, arbitrators. However, we need all of us. We need to build our experience, and also to build our credibility. Continuing with that, what do you think? Do you think that female experts do we face any challenges in just building our credibility in front of an arbitrator?
I mean, I think that female experts in particular, again, I think you perhaps suffer from the same challenges as arbitrators, in that there will be a certain number of known names or known persons who have that testifying experience and keep getting appointments off the back of that experience. So it's almost like a chicken and an egg scenario. That until you get those appointments and start to build your reputation as an independent expert, and therefore get more appointments, it is tricky. I think it's that initial trying to break through, and become recognised as as an expert. And all experts, regardless of gender, face that issue, the first testifying appointments, to try and get that under your belt, to really start to establish yourself as someone that's credible to be appointed. And I think sometimes with women, when you have that first the first meeting with the clients, I think sometimes we maybe perhaps lack that presumption of competence that maybe a man might not experience. So the client will, after they speak to you and get to know you and see that you know your stuff, that you know what you're doing, that then comes, but I don't think that we have yet that automatic presumption that yes, of course, Natalia's a great expert. Of course, Cheryl's competent to be counsel. So I think that to me is still a challenge.
Yeah,
that
I think
we have
I
to
feel it.
come-
I think, as you said, the challenge for female to prove herself is way more than a male to prove themselves, and I think that's also because of the number. Construction is dominated industry, male-dominated industry, and by default, the male expert will have more appointments than female expert. So actually, I had very similar conversation last year with a male counsel. He's a really nice guy, actually. And he said now he's trying to, like whenever he received a small case, he really trying to make conscious effort to find, like a young expert or expert who's really good but never been appointed. And he said, like, because most of the time, whenever he has a case, even if it's small, all the name being suggested to him, it's just like really big names.
Yeah.
And he said, like, I don't want to use a guy with 30-time testifying experience because the case is very small. So I think that's what could be one of the solutions, like small case or something not, I don't want something not as big because as we know, sometimes your first appointment could be the best because you will never be appointed. You want to prove yourself, so you put a lot of efforts just to prove yourself.
So moving to other subject, did you have a mentor at the beginning of your career? How important do you think mentoring is?
So at the start of my career, I probably didn't have a formal mentor. I think when I was training and newly qualified, most of my mentors were male, who always gave their time and advice and career guidance. Latterly, I've been lucky enough to work at a firm, so we've had 2 successive female senior partners. So I think mentoring and the ability to see within your own organization females in the senior roles that either you do or you aspire to do is very, very important.
Yeah, I agree. Did you have any mentor, Nisreen?
I think I have like similar story. I did not like have formal mentor, but also when I started, especially I started like I moved my career path from being a planning engineer like on site to expert work maybe 10 years ago after I finished my master's. So actually also the expert I was working with, he really taught me everything. He was like really patient, very attentive to detail. So I learned a lot of stuff from him. So I think he was my mentor without officially saying that. But I think it's very important, maybe as you said, like when we started our career or like 14 years ago was not an official thing. But I think it's very important. And that's why I wanted to ask you if you have any advice for young generation or generation who's just starting their career now.
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. I mean I think 2 things. I think always, particularly in construction, I think always be wanting to learn or to upskill. So to add to your qualifications, to learn about new methods, new things. I think that's super helpful in your career, and also to be growing your network. So even at a very junior level, just to always be thinking about that. Growing your network, because as you progress, the people in your network progress, and I think it's great to just always be thinking about doing that.
Yeah, I always remember like maybe 10 years ago or 12 years ago, I went to some training from a company, and they told me that you should go for lunch with someone different every day. And I didn't understand at that time the meaning of that, but now I really do, yes, because you need to build your network, because it's what will make you just to elevate your profile, but also to discover opportunities. And find opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's correct as well. Also, I think it was like mutual advice we've been receiving from our guests. Just be the go-to event, also do a lot of public speaking, because that's also how you will introduce yourself. And with all this stuff we need to do to prove ourselves, public speaking, working hard, how do you switch off between the challenges and, you know, like the demanding work, and just try to live normal life if you can?
Well, I think being in the UAE as much as possible, trying to be outside when the weather permits. So yeah, we enjoy going off into the desert and going off camping. So that's always good fun, and you can properly get away from it all. And also being out on the water. So yeah, being out on the boats. It's always good fun.
I totally agree. Yeah, I like also going to the desert, dumbashing a little bit. I have a car, and I really like going to barbecues and dumbashing. Yeah, totally agree.
I've never been to camping in here yet, so I need to make effort, hopefully. I've never been to the desert yet even.
No.
We'll take you.
I need to go
you.
with Natalia. But again, Cheryl, thank you so much for being here. We have covered a lot of ground. We would like to have you like for long duration, but before we let you go, do you like to add anything, or just some advice, last things to say?
I mean, yeah, just it's been great. It's been fantastic conversation with you both. But yeah, no, I think just what we said about, you know, growing the network, you know, pushing out the profile, keeping in mind, you know, that all individually we can make a small contribution to, you know, having more and promoting more women throughout the construction sector.
Again, Cheryl, thank you very much for joining us today. And please tune in for the next episode.
Thank you.